my name is Jake, and today we are talking about my number 92 in my top 102 favorite album countdown. And it is none other than the Kinks' magnum opus. The Kinks are the Village Green Preservation Society. This is the band's sixth studio album, released November 23rd, 1968, same exact day as the Beatles' White Album, which is kind of insane in retrospect. I mean, you just had these two great bands dropping these two classics that people, I'm sure, totally at the time took for granted. But little did they know that this was probably as good as album release dates we're gonna get, at least for a while. This is also the band's final album with that classic lineup that, if any of you watched my Something Else by the Kinks video, you saw how great of a band they had there. And this is the last album with said lineup. Pete Quaife would leave the band sort of before or sort of during the making of Arthur, which is a masterpiece in its own right. Now, the concept of this album was conceived around the same time as the recording sessions of Something Else, and the term Village Green is basically sort of a la Waterloo Sunset, where it's just a place that you can go in your own mind. You know, Ray Davies even said, it's basically just a place to retreat to when the world gets too much. And I think that is beautiful. You can definitely tell that sort of theme of escapism definitely hit home for Ray. And he worked right off that. He knew that that was a sweet spot for him as far as writing is concerned. And, I mean, he used that to create what I believe is their magnum opus. This is the Kinks at their finest, as far as an album's concerned. It is a masterpiece of Baroque rock. That's what I like to call it. This is not a very... I mean, it has its poppy moments, but it is definitely sort of... I think Baroque rock is a term that feels much more appropriate. Now, onto the songs. Track 1, The Village Green Preservation Society. Classic intro. I'm sure a lot of you know it from the film Hot Fuzz, which is one of my favorites. It's a bit of a satirical piece on sort of man-made inventions, while at the same time being a pretty total celebration of innocence, and it sets the tone just perfectly. It tells you pretty much everything you need to know, while at the same time you're still interested in everything else Ray has to say. And I love that. It definitely, especially with its sort of jovial chord progression, and once again, Raza Davies' astounding backup vocals. Track 2, Do You Remember Walter? Another very upbeat sounding one, although the lyrics certainly don't appear to be that way. Ray wrote this about someone that he actually played football with, or soccer. One of those two. It's different in Britain. But essentially, he reconnected with an old friend of his, and they were just at a loss for words, and not in a good way. Like, they just didn't connect like they used to. Ray said that this song is essentially about just not being able to relate to anyone, which, funny enough, I can relate to that sometimes. And, I love Ray's desperation sort of in his voice. Like, he really, it's not the same person that he remembers. And it definitely sounds like a struggle, and he captures it beautifully on this track. Track 3, Picture Book. This song is essentially about looking through also, I'm sorry, I love Green Day so much, but they ripped this song off for Warning. Even if it was intended to be like a homage, just at least make it subtle. I'm sorry. As far as the actual song is concerned, I can't say it's one of my personal favorites, but I do like it quite a bit. And it still absolutely should be on the album for the sole reason that it does connect to the theme of sort of, reminiscing and having that own place in your minds, how just those memories sort of being a thing of comfort for you. And that's kind of why I connect so much with Ray Davies as a songwriter. I mean, gosh, I hate to be all like, "Ooh, I'm sensitive," but no, really, there's those certain songwriters that just kind of hit a soft spot for you, and Ray Davies probably would be that for me. Track 4, Johnny Thunder. This song is about a rebellious biker, very much along the lines of The Wild One, which I believe this song was inspired by a bit. I really, really love this song. Although it doesn't make me want to ride around on my motorcycle and rebel against stuff so much as it makes me want to, like, sort of just run happily through a field of flowers. Just like, because it is kind of that, like, happy, jovial, melodic sounding song, which, I mean, doesn't suit the lyrical content, but it suits the Kinks overall, I think, very well. I believe Pete Townsend was also a very big fan of this song. And for those of you watching this who are New York Dolls fans, at which musically that's the point where you and I would probably differ a little bit, I'm sorry to say. This is, as I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, know, that this is the song where Johnny Thunders got his stage name. Track 5, Last of the Steam Powered Trains. This is definitely a huge standout for me on the album. The riff is very obviously sort of inspired by, to say the least, Smokestack Lightning by Howlin' Wolf. And the Kings obviously weren't much of a blues band, but when they did it, aka this song, no one did it better, honestly. This is one of the coolest sounding songs they ever wrote. It's another one that touches on the theme of, just not having anything to relate to with anyone. And I really feel this sort of sense of independence here. I mean, sonically, it's definitely an independent song as far as the rest of the album's concerned, and really that only helps the lyrical content. Track 6, Big Sky. This is one of Ray's favorites, although not really one of mine. Still a good song, though. I like his spoken word delivery on this quite a bit, and the very ominous lyrics, in which Big Sky kind of sounds to me, and to a lot of other people, obviously, like a metaphor for God, but Ray will not say. But, I mean, either way, I still enjoy this song quite a bit. It's a nice little switch up from, the rest of the songs. Track 7, Sitting by the Riverside. This is absolutely a huge favorite of mine on here. The sort of Baroque influence really shines through, and Nicky Hopkins definitely is a standout on this one. It's such a sort of mellow, relaxing song about, well, I mean, really, this is one of the prettiest songs the Kinks ever wrote. And I think it definitely sounds like Ray was in his village green, so to speak, while writing and sort of arranging this piece. Track 8, Animal Farm. This is a huge favorite of mine, definitely. I really love the grandiose sound of the song, and Nicky Hopkins is definitely the not-so-secret weapon here. This is definitely one of my favorites topic-wise as well. It's just basically about wanting to get away from people and just hang out with animals, literally. And I love that, because I am one of those people that generally prefers animals over people most of the time. I am one of those sort of, lesser folk that whenever someone dies in a movie, I'm like, oh, at least the dog's okay. I am that person to watch movies with. I'm sorry to inform you. Track 9, Village Green. This is just a perfect song. It's really just a tale of how stardom isn't really all it's cracked up to be, and it's really the sort of simple things in life, or, that perfect place you have in your mind that's worth appreciating. And man, oh man, do people need to hear this song today. I love Ray's sort of storytelling and imagery in this song, and the Baroque rock, again, feel just fits the tone of the song flawlessly. Track 10, Starstruck. This one kind of goes off the previous song. It's essentially another song about just getting swept up in sort of excess and, I guess, Hollywood culture. And again, very, very relevant song, especially in the age of social media. This is a pretty good song, great string arrangements, with just, an overall great message. It fits, the sort of concept, even though this isn't a concept album, it does fit the concept of the album, I guess, very, very well. Track 11, Phenomenal Cat. This is actually kind of a beautiful song. I adore the flute, the addition of the flute on this one. It's essentially about a cat whose main interests and hobbies are eating and sitting on his bum. By far the most relatable song on the album. Honestly, if I had an actual TV show, this is probably what I would want to be the theme song. I'm just calling it how it is. Track 12, All of My Friends Were There. This one was inspired by a concert where Ray got gloriously drunk and performed absolutely terribly in front of all of his friends, and just his overall sort of guilt and embarrassment about it. This one, I really, really love this one. It almost has like a very tragically comedic tone to it. It almost sounds as if he's, in a way, sort of laughing at his pain. And honestly, that's a trait that I love in all the great songwriters. Track 13, Wicked Annabella. Huge, huge favorite, for sure. Huge standout. It's written by Ray, seemingly about a witch, but this is Dave's song through and through. He sings lead on it, and his vocal performance and the riff, his guitar tone, everything about this song is, for lack of a better term, wicked. This is definitely one of the Kinks' darkest sounding songs. It is honestly like a great sort of Halloween song. If you're playing this at a Halloween party, I'm not gonna lie, it would set the tone perfectly. Better than a lot of songs I've seen on Halloween party playlists, but that's none of my business. Track 14, Monica. This is a love song to a prostitute. My man Ray out here simping. For the duration of the video, we are going to pretend I didn't say that. This is a pretty good song, super catchy song, probably like the catchiest song on the album. It probably would be considered, if the album were to have one, probably the throwaway, just because I don't feel like it fits the tone. It does sonically, but lyrically does not fit the tone of the rest of the album. But it's still a really good song. I like the way it sounds. Very sort of unique drum beat on this one. It's just a good song. I personally enjoy it. Track 15, final track, People Take Pictures of Each Other. This is a solid closer to the album. Another super, super catchy one. It's seemingly a satirical song on photography? Your mind, Ray, not mine. I mean, it is just sort of, just a nice little toe tapper to just end the album right off on. It's a nice song. Personally, I like it. Overall, in addition to this being one of the all-time great musical artists' crowning achievement, this is, I believe, a more relevant album than I think a lot of people give it credit for. I think because, due to the lyrical content, they probably wouldn't, a lot of people wouldn't want to admit that it's relevant, but realistically, I mean, it has aged beautifully. I just think this is another album that I think everyone in this day and age should hear at least once. It is endlessly enjoyable from beginning to end. Not only that, but they really are tiny little songs that just make you think a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have anything that you want to see or want me to talk about or review, music or movie related, just drop it right down below there in the comments. My name is Jake. I'll be back.